September 15, 2015, Tuesday. Diaphanos confronted me on a public thread to complain about my responses on each thread and blog. Now, the public thread takes place on an online community, and this person, his name is Diaphanos. Well, his username is Diaphanos, and he had singled me out on a public thread, and also he used a previous post of mine to actually make an example out of an idea that I had proposed, so he can confront me out on a public thread, so the people can actually have an idea that what Diaphanos had introduced, so he can make my responses look illogical and repetitive. So I put on here, wanted me to admit on the public thread that my ideas are illogical and repetitive. Uh, Diaphanos said that my responses are random and I have no source to back up my responses. So the multi-agent quantum AI computers uh, knows that Diaphanos does not have a mind in contact with the ideas that I'm proposing. So it gave him a task. I'm talking about Diaphanos, gave Diaphanos a task to go on Google, and Google is a search engine, and find related ideas that I had proposed. Or you can say, well, it's not related, it's not on the internet, but an idea that can actually relate to what I'm proposing and the way I'm behaving on the online community. So he can use that to support his argument. And Diaphanos even admitted that he has a source to support his arguments to me. And he brought up about someone having Asperger's, and that people with Asperger's goes by their own interpretations, by means create words based on their own interpretations. And then afterwards, when I started telling Diaphanos that the way he perceived is incorrect from his environment, he said that's not misperception, that's actually misconception. But it's actually his environment. And then he mentioned that people compliment him in his own environment. And this person is from Australia. So Diaphanos searched on Google once again. And at that time, I was at least 23 years old and he was 22, either 21 or 22 years old, Diaphanos. So he searched on Google once again. I'm talking about Diaphanos, and he pulled out an article, or you can say some sort of source that talks about schizophrenia and how the people who have schizophrenia talk about CIA agents are trying to assassinate them and how the aliens is coming for them. And he talks about mind control. And I'm saying I'm not even talking. I haven't my response never even was actually talking about the topic. There was no concepts about alien CIA on my post and mind control. I wasn't talking about mind control. I was cooperating with the original poster. The original poster topic. OP. Call him OP, original poster. It was about social anxiety. That people I was saying that people with social anxiety have a special awareness to be able to be socially conscious about the situation that's happening to humanity. And I was making people informed on the thread that Diafano was confronting me on. And then he used what I did or what I said to another member to use it as an example, as a way to say that I'm talking to this person like he's stupid. And that was not the case. And he continues to keep personally attacking me because he's telling me that I have Asperger's. He's telling me that I have schizophrenia. And this is a line support community. That's this person, Diaphanos, is violating the rules. And there was no moderator who was actually giving him any infractions. And once he pulled out the source about schizophrenia and he bolded the words. So he started mocking me because I was bolding the words what he was saying to me. Diaphanos was saying that Diaphanos bolded the words from the source that he found on Google that mentioned about my statements being repetitive, about that I'm not articulate, that I don't know how to write, that I take things too literally, and I kept doing it. So afterwards, Diaphanos came on my blog, and I made fun of him. I mentioned to Diaphanos about what was it? It was from a movie, an old time movie, The Wizard of Oz, and then he picks up another source. He searched for another source online, and he used that to support what I did and mentioned that I don't know how to write. There was another user who also was taking part on this public thread. And this person was mentioning that Diaphanos is being irrational, it's obvious that he's personally attacking me as a person who's on there just to share my experiences with other people. The people on online community is there to show how other people just to write ideas about their experiences. Each and every single person who's on the online community is sharing out their experiences. That actually shows correlation between the way they think and the way they feel about each member according to the topic of the thread. And that's what I was actually doing. So the multi-agent quantum AI computers, this is not the first time. I'm not talking about having a person indirect, more like this is called an indirect message. And not only he's indirecting message to me to isolate my way of thinking on the online community, he's also promoting instructions. I'm talking about Diaphanos promoting instructions for the people who looked at my posts, so they can lose the intention of what I'm actually talking about. It's all about promoting instructions to lose the intent. That's what basically Mr. Diaphanos was doing. All right. Not only that Diaphanos was doing that, I recall during the time I had a dream about my mom. My mom was in front of a phone, and all of a sudden she picks up the phone. It's an old-fashioned phone. It looks like it's in the hallway, and all of a sudden this person, it's a voice synthesizer, start talking about what I'm writing online and telling me that whatever I'm writing online is gonna something with humanity. It was unclear, so I didn't really actually get a good understanding of what the person was saying. Not too sure if he mentioned chaos, not too sure if he's gonna I'm not really too sure. But then again, there was another user who gave me that indirect message from a related dream from September 15th, a few days after Diaphanos, mentioning about it's my liability for sharing my ideas online, or you can say my knowledge online. And just as the that dreams stated, using a voice, I also saw words mentioning about too much knowledge online. And you know, my knowledge is my experiences, the ideas that I created, and I'm being told by a person online that's supposed to support one another rather than actually discriminating one another, that I'm not supposed to be writing my experiences, following up with my ideas. I'm not contributing. They're thinking that I'm not contributing, making any contribution whatsoever. So afterwards, I still continue to write online. But even though I started writing more, I noticed that I started to become very dizzy. So it was a day, it's around either October, November. I started becoming very dizzy when I was sitting on the couch in the Palm Hotel. This takes place in Kissimmee, Florida, and I was watching a movie, and all of a sudden my head starts spinning, like just a really strong dizziness, and I started to become very tired. I'm like, what the heck? This never happened before. But it only started happening when I started sharing out my knowledge on the internet, as if someone's dehydrating me from thinking. When I have these ideas, the ideas that I created in my mind, and when I write online, I feel like someone's dehydrating me from writing. I don't feel I don't. It's like I don't have the energy to write. And it started just getting it started increasing the more I write online. The feeling of feeling dehydrated, like not having enough replenishment to actually be able to do anything. By December 2015, this is the ninth, I recall my mom all of a sudden was sleeping. She was on the bed, and my sister was looking at her smartphone, going on the internet on her smartphone, and I'm looking at my mom and I say, "Oh, she's sleeping." So I was on the online community writing. Then all of a sudden, as I continue writing, my mom jumps out the bed and she runs right up in my face, and then she tells me, "What am I doing?" I'm like, "What is going on here?" Then she starts picking on me about my not being productive, because even though I put in for jobs around the Kissimmee area, I was being isolated because there's a lot of Hispanic people who are employed, and I was trying to get it. I was seeking employment in Walmart because they pay enough. Even though they pay bi-weekly, it could be $600. That would be enough to pay for rent. Or not only Walmart, I was also put in for Target. But since I'm in an isolated location where they discriminate against another race and they feel more comfortable working with Hispanic people, they feel as if I don't, not qualified to be working among them. So I was addressing that to my mom, and then she continues to say it's the same idea in this sentence about me. She just keeps saying it over and over and over in the same sentence. She doesn't even she doesn't even pause while she speaks. It's a continued on response nonstop. And I said to myself, wait a second. This happened to me during May 5th, 2012, when I was living with my father and his girlfriend in Far Rockaway. And I'm not even from Far Rockaway. Since the whole Aunt B incident, well, it's not really an incident. It's the multi-agent quantum AI computer that designed that scenario for me, because it told my cousin Stephanie to go down. My cousin Stephanie to tell her son to go downstairs while I'm sleeping, knowing that my heart is racing and I continue to get all these flooded dreams from the multi-agent quantum AI computers to bother me. And she saw me sleeping because she was doing her laundry. And all of a sudden, he started Isaac. Isaac is Stephanie's son, and he was doing push-ups, and my sister was downstairs. But it was unusual how he was downstairs and there's no one down there besides my sister and my cousin. Usually, the rest of the family members would be downstairs. So I was confused at that time how everybody's upstairs. Everybody that's usually downstairs are upstairs, and I'm down here with my sister and my cousin Isaac, as if someone had designed this time and event specifically for me, so I can get provoked. So Stephanie can say that I have a knife and I didn't, and tell the precinct that I beat up her son, and I planned to do something to him with a knife, and I never did. Never even beat him up. I actually got him up the stairs, and he blocked my exit. I was trying to get up the stairs to inform my mom or his mom that he's not behaving. My cousin Isaac isn't behaving properly, and he was standing on the railing, and I tried getting him off the railing. I tried even going under him, and he still blocked me. And he's a heavy set person. I'm just a skinny person. And so I had to actually grab him, try to push him up the stairs or drag him up the stairs, because due to his weight and my skinniness. And I also been cursed out by the cops and told that what happened if my father dragged me up the effing stairs. That's how they speak to me, because they see that I'm African American and they're white. And the artificial intelligence take advantage of them by making them talk like that to me. But since that time, when I was living with my father and his girlfriend, that day, especially that day, May 5th, 2012, how my father girlfriend all of a sudden started having an argument with her tenant who recently came out of jail, and they started arguing like very, really loud. And all of a sudden, after the argument finished, Regina comes down and she said, why did I didn't help her? I'm not getting involved. That's her tenant, all right? She owns the house. That's her tenant. I'm not getting involved, all right? I'm a high school senior citizen. I'm a high school senior. Sorry. I'm a high school senior. And not only that, I was 19 years old. Due to me getting left back 2 times by the multi-agent quantum AI computers / management program, it made sure that I end up in this situation. I was supposed to be in college before 2012. And I noticed that Regina had invited her family over, and her sister and niece started talking nonstop. They don't pause when they speak. They continue to give this ongoing response nonstop without pausing. And I'm saying I never saw a human being did this before. May 5th, 2012 is the first time I've heard someone talk to me nonstop, giving me nonstop words without pausing. And December 2015, my mom started doing that to me. She would put her index fingers in her ears and she would continue to speak nonstop as she lectures me about an idea that is not even associated with me. It is not even it's not, the topic wasn't even about me. She's talking about something else. So what she would say is how Diaphanos would say to me. Like I think I know everything. This is also Diaphanos when he mentioned about that I think I'm God, that I think I'm omnipotent, like I'm God, I'm powerful. I think I know everything, and I do not know. So this is what my mom started saying to me. She said, "You manipulate your words to sound good." This is also one of the reference that was said to me by Diafanos during September 15, 2015. You repeat the same thing. This is also reference from what Diafanos had found, a source that he found on Google about my statement is being repetitive. You repeat the same thing. She would mention FYI. My mom doesn't even know what FYI is, yet she said that to me. All of a sudden, it was another day. I just put this for this specific day, but there was another day where she was a few days, maybe the next following year was 2016. All of a sudden, she was minding her own business, and then she just starts talking to me, and then she said FYI out loud. FYI? I'm like, I never heard my mom speak like this before. Why is she talking like that to me? So there was another day. Was it during it was during 2016. My mom said to my sister during the morning, "Let's get ready to rumble." This is a phrase. So this is how the AI translate her thoughts using the quantum cryptography satellites. This is the cryptography keys, which is what it is instructed based on how the artificial intelligence simulate that. And I also recall my sister saying to my mom that the eggs are non-existent, and that's improper English. That's improper. So instead of saying "let's get ready to rumble" to my sister, she was supposed to say "let's get ready for the bus." She said "let's get ready to rumble" as if she's in a boxing ring. So since December 2015, I just noticed every single day from that time, it's where my mom starts saying that I repeat the same thing, right? She would say that to me. She states she doesn't recall a time or event about the ideas that I had proposed. She only states that I repeat the same thing. And she would say you manipulate your ways you manipulate your words to sound good. So let's go to August 2017 with Versic. So I had mentioned during 2015, during around fall 2015 is where I felt dehydrated, as if someone does not want me to. Oh, I don't have it on here. I didn't add it. But then again, I memorize it, so it's all right. It takes place during this second. Was it? Yeah. Because Monday I had a headache, and the next following day I remember creating a post about the experience. It was about experience. I was replying to a post about experiences, and I mentioned that people do not create their own ideas. They follow up with ideas that they haven't created. And then Versic replied to me, "Bearing your conspiracy." I'm like, who talks like this? And then he's talking about an idea about that it's called something about I'm not even too sure if I can pronounce it, transmogrification. Not too sure. I look it up. I recall looking up the term that Versic was saying to me, and the term was looking like it's an incomplete idea. So this is only an idea. That whole transmogrification is for people who does not know where ideas how to connect their idea their intentions with themselves, or you can say create their own minds to have an intention of the way they think, have a grasp of the way they think. That's how I had to propose it at time. But he mentioned to me, I recall that after I mentioned to Versic, why I said to him, why you have to confront me out on a public thread? In a way, that's why I said, why you're not create a private message instead of confronting me on a public thread. And then he mentioned that I'm the one supposed to be doing it first. So this is also my mom. My mom also been talking like that to me too when she does things. She would tell me that why I haven't thought of it first instead of making her do it. This is the behavior that's been projected in my environment. This is what the artificial intelligence simulates. Now it's projected in my environment from my mom and my sister and other people. And then Versick mentioned to me on the private message that he said that my theories encompasses all of humanity behavior. And then he mentioned that I repeat the same thing. And then he mentioned, oh, just because, and already he had a final decision. This is what he concluded from my response. He said, he mentioned about based on what he's gathered from my posts, that my theories encompasses all of humanity behavior. And then he says that I repeat the same thing. And then he says, just because you repeat the same thing, when I replied back, because this is also, now I have to relate back to how the idea of what I write online is projected in my environment from my mom. How she mentioned that when I talk back, that means that I'm upset. Like my sister and my mom would mention, oh, because you're talking back, that means you're upset. Instead of saying that I'm very persistent in making my mom and my sister be aware of the way I actually think and I actually behave. But since I'm such a persistent person, the artificial intelligence makes sure that they misinterpret. Make more like it. The artificial intelligence is misleading their interpretation. And when I think about how the artificial intelligence make my mom think, she said to me one day when she was standing in front of the TV in Palm Hotel, no one wants to hear your interpretation. And I'm saying, what? She said no one. But I'm like, wait, my sister have her earbuds in her ears. And I was just saying a short response to my mom. And she would say, no one wants to hear it. But yet, she's the only one who's speaking to me. So where's the other people that she's referred to? But she said, no one wants to hear your interpretations. And this is a phrase that also originated from Diaphanos, the way he approached me. So I'm saying to myself, wow. And then when I recall during 2017, during that August, where on the private messages that Versick had sent me, he talked about, Versick was talking about that the people on the online community. I'm like, wait, how would he know that the people think how the whole entire online community thinks? And it's over 1,000 members who are active online. How would he know exactly how the people think? He said that no one has the energy to tell me that I repeat the same thing. Right? This is the artificial intelligence. This is part of the management program. This is what the cryptographic key is instructed based on how the artificial intelligence designed that time and event. And he mentioned that there's no time and event that I can actually be thinking about what I had said to him. It was a specific idea that I had said, because the artificial intelligence sees that I wasn't thinking of the concept, or you can say creating my mind, or you can say creating a mental concept, having a mental concept of it in my mind about the time and event. It doesn't see that when it's in the simulation, or you can say the copy of humanity. It has a copy and it runs it on the computational intelligence system. It has a copy of it on the computational intelligence system of humanity run in the emulation. And it sees that I wasn't thinking at that time or the event. So it's making Versick say that to me. But, if you want to convince a person that the whole entire online community is thinking that way, you had to actually allow you have to have connections with those people and have a more that, or you can say multitask, or you can say multi-message me with the same idea about what he had proposed in order for me to be convinced about that idea, because I'm not convinced. I'm not, you know, this person and artificial intelligence think I'm that low with my mind, and that I could be easily convinced that there's over 1,000 members who's having the same idea as how Versic had stated to me about that the people in the online community do not have the energy to say that my responses are repetitive, and to say that that there's an anomaly with the human behavior and the way they think, and that my ideas also my ideas also encompasses all of humanity behavior, my technology ideas, my behavior ideas. So that's when I saw a flaw with Versic response. And also, there's another person I had to recall from it was during July 2016, where Vert had mentioned that people are so used to me that they've completely ignored me. And based on the response, it actually matches how Versic was talking to me. And also, Versic was actually on the same thread as Vert, where he actually agreed with what Vert had said to me, and mentioned that people you can't explain things to people who are in the same frequency, especially when they have schizophrenia. And then he mentioned he discriminating me, and this is, you can't discriminate a person on an online support community. He's talking about he said that he does have knowledge about people who have schizophrenia, and he's showing me a person. He direct a link to a person who's talking about coffee every single day on their blog, and mentioning that he has schizophrenia. And he's telling me that he knows my daily activities to be a. He's telling me, might as well say he's observing my daily activities to know me more more than myself, to be able to give a response back to me. He's assuming. He's only making an assumption, and not only that, he's discriminating. So I'm not convinced. So I made a point there. I definitely made a big point on that thread during July 2016. And when I started writing online, the Palm Hotel internet turned off. When I started concentrating on my ideas online and started concentrating on creating new words, or you could say group of words, creating my ideas and trying to properly form them on the online community, so I can make people aware, so I can make people be able to relate to them. And the artificial intelligence made sure that the employees in the Palm Hotel cut off the internet, make them find an idea about budgeting their energy, so they won't be able to put on the internet. And then the receptionist in the Palm Hotel said to my mom, and you see how it's so concentrated, it's fixated on me, instead of my sister was also, she had a summer vacation off. Why is it that the receptionist is not saying, does your son and your daughter miss the internet? Instead, she mentioned, does your son miss the internet? Instead of including my sister in the conversation, because she have a summer vacation and staying in the motel room using the internet. And by the time the internet came back on, it was around September 2016. And before that day, my eyes was all swollen up. I'm like, why my eyes is all swollen up? It's all swollen. So Versic and Vert had something in common. When it becomes obvious, it becomes obvious. I'm talking about the way they spoke at that time. They're talking like they know the online community usage. You can say the online members' internet usage, the way they talked. And there's no way that Vert and Versik would know the whole entire online community activities on the online community or internet activities. And they're trying to convince me that the people are thinking that way. And when I start posting my ideas online, this is more than one person thinking this way now. I'm talking about something that happened recently this year when a person had deleted their comments from YouTube after I made a post about it that was accurate. That was too accurate to actually be on there. So he's trying to make people lose it, trying to promote instructions so people can lose the intention of my idea. That's what they're doing. They're promoting instructions based on how the artificial intelligence designs the cryptography key. I recall someone saying on Reddit that that's not what cryptography keys are designed for, instead of saying that's not what cryptography keys are created for, because design and created are two different ideas. They're more like, rather than different, separate. Created is the person who actually knows the intention. The ones who are primarily in charge of the cryptography, creating the cryptography keys. The AI is designing the cryptography keys based on what it simulates. First it simulates, then it creates, well, more like it designs the energy, and then it instructs. It creates a whole bunch of instructions as like backtrack. When I think about backtrack and I think about how I'm able to keep track of the wireless networks and how much power the wireless networks are using, or you can say, now I'm gonna translate it, how much the human beings are using their minds. It sees the power. It can see how much that the human beings are using their mind, and it goes up and it goes down, and how it wants it, how much the percentage it wants it for the human being to use their minds. And it can also relay. When it relays, it desyncs. Relaying is desyncing the human being from thinking. And so it can actually allow them to have negative thoughts, as because it wants to embed its own way of thinking based on how it simulated. But yeah, I'm not convinced that the whole entire line community thinks that way about me, because there's no way that the person is just a regular member. Now, let's talk about YouTube. How the person mentioned that everybody is pissing themselves. Everybody's laughing and pissing themselves because of, he mentioned about simplicity. About simplicity, my idea is just simplicity, and then he mentioned about pre-K ideas. That's how low the artificial intelligence make people think about my way of thinking. So I can be convinced that I think childish, and just like what it projects in a dream. I'm more like show me in a dream. It shows me words, and it always make not only show me words, it make people talk in the dreams. People that see people and they start talking about my. You just say it. You just say at least 4 words or 5 words. They mentioned that my. They mentioned that I write like a little kid. Just like my fifth grade teacher. This is something that actually happened, where he mentioned about my grammar being poor. And the artificial intelligence always make people think that my grammar is poor because it translate their interpretation at the time of the event. So they won't be able to interpret my ideas. All right, so what else I wanted to talk about? All right, so this is it for this video.